I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and with me today is a special guest whom my devoted viewers will now already know. This is Zvonimir Vlajic, the highest rated player in Croatia, also a master in board game arena, also known with his screen name Blueste. Hi Zvonimir.
Hello. I must say that I'm not currently the highest rated one, but I'll try to get back
What?
in shape as soon as I can. Yeah.
Well, this is interesting. Okay, at least you have the highest peak rating, right? So I think that would be a fair assumption. So this means that you must have trained up all the other Croatian people, and now they're even beating you. Well, but this is a sign of success, rather. At least that's what it is in my book.
Yes, it's the next thing that's happening is World Team Championships in Carcassonne, so it is a good thing.
Yeah, you're gonna have some good players to pick from. And speaking of the World Team Carcassonne Championship, this is how one of the players whom we are going to be watching today got into this tournament. So of course we are streaming our final match in all likelihood of the year of the Carcassonne Champions League 2025 qualification cycle, where in the third qualification, which is actually meant for international competition winners, Josef Tihon, or szigfrid, known by his screen name of Hungary, will be playing the Japanese player with the screen name Ezitakuto Traps for the place in the main stage of the tournament. It's pretty straightforward. Whoever wins qualifies, whoever doesn't win doesn't qualify, and we say goodbye to them. So both players actually got their spot here because of the World Team Carcassonne Online Championships. Japan won the whole thing, so that's why they got an extra player to participate in the qualification cycle, and the same is true for Hungary. Although, of course, they didn't win, but they took their historic third place, to everybody's surprise and respect. Of course, szigfrid has a bunch of other titles. His peak rating on Board Game Arena is over 800, and he also happens to be the reigning vice champion of the world in the in-person Carcassonne. So I would assess them as a slight favorite. However, Takuto is also, of course, a very strong player. I'm not sure if they had just crossed the master threshold at some point. They might have, but they have been with the Japanese national team for quite some while. And generally, Japanese players, one of my viewers like to joke that they're born with 500 ELO already. So it's just a country with so many great talents, and we might witness one in action today. And the game has already started. So, already some fireworks, as both players have scored 4 points for these small cities over here. The Japanese player with the red meeples, which very nicely match the color of the flag, has already placed one of those on a 7-point monastery. szigfrid with a patriotic green meeple, also placing one for 3 points, controlling 2 of red city at the same time, and an early farmer was placed by green. This already has 6 points in the form of 2 completed cities, 2 more completed cities in the works, and lots of green squares for future development. So certainly a worthy farmer. And the 2-point city, 2 point on a shielded tile, now much closer to its completion. szigfrid's being aggressive with the scoring, starting a potential 4-point road, just one straight line away from being that, also threatening to complete the new city. So now Ezitakuto with a quadruple crossroads is probably going to try and do something about it. There's some options. Maybe we can go over here, taking 2 points and breaking that city a little bit. Wait, can you see my drawings? Actually, that's yeah, you can. Yeah, and this is what he does. An alternative was going over here and trying to put pressure on his road from the bottom. A third move was going over here, adding 1 point to the monastery and trying to equalize the road. So, Zvonimir, out of these 3 moves, do you agree with the Japanese player choice, or would you have done something else with the crossroads?
I would actually put it right next to his monastery, because this move makes it easier for Siegfried to secure the field. Now if Siegfried finishes his city, he can put another farmer and then connect through a straight road.
Oh, right. So like with something like a starting tile over here. Yeah, this is one of the
Yes.
possibilities. So I assume that that maybe he just really didn't want for for Siegfried to finish the city easily, because now like any vanilla city caps don't go there, any extenders don't go there. On the other hand, if Siegfried is to get some city plus road tile, especially one of the two barbed wire tiles remaining, he'll be benefiting from these extra road points. So moves like these are double-edged. Now, I assume that the Hungarian will just continue his road, which now will be impossible to equalize as well. But he doesn't, and this is really interesting. Really wants to prioritize blocking his city, and I think it's not just about the city. So you mentioned denying the field connection platform, and this is what the Hungarian is doing. He does not want for Ezitakuto to finish the city and drop a farmer. Now, of course, still 3 tiles available to complete the city, but the farming platform will no longer be available. So we're going to see, again, like a similar dilemma here for the Japanese player. Could either connect to the road on the right, or do this. So this kind of makes sense since he's simply continuing his plan that he started. I probably prefer doing not what he did, but placing the same move with the field platform up top, just sacrificing a couple of percentage points when it comes to your blocking probability, simply not to allow this beautiful ring road that Siegfried has created. Now, not only will he be completing his city, but he'll also be taking extra 4 points in the process. Takuto now with a beautiful city tile. Not continuing his city, but starting a new one, hoping to get in here or maybe restrict the square in the future. I presume Siegfried's going to do something about it, but what exactly? So you could either start a new city, pointing upwards next to this city or opposite the city of Takuto rather, then hope to finish it and then place something over here, try blocking the square, or you could invade the city straight away. Maybe even with chances to draw a triple city tile, a city cap, a Dorito of the road, and finish a big 18-point city. Or you could ignore that situation entirely. Maybe going over here next to your monastery and start putting pressure on this city cap of Takuto. So Zvonimir, what are you thinking here for if you're the Japanese player with the city cap?
Hungarian player is on the turn, but I would start a new city on the left, because if he gets the city cap with a crossroad, then it could be really painful for the Japanese to finish the city he started.
Right, so you're thinking pointing the city cap upwards, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's some actually quite unpleasant combinations. So not only this barbed wire tile that you mentioned, because like this would also start putting this pressure on the square. Then we finish our city cap, and then maybe we can block the square completely. There we can even do some damage, and this is exactly what the Hungarian player does. We can even do some damage with their good old regular dagger. So we put something over here, we finish the city, then we finish our city at the top, and then with a straight line we block the square anyway. So plenty of blocking opportunities, but the Japanese player of course will be looking for one of the 4 remaining Doritos or one of the 4 remaining triple city tiles to try and go over here and prevent the completion of Green City, at the same time saving his own meeple. Takuto now.
Is it now time to attack the road?
I think so, yeah, because like what else are you gonna do, right? And it's not just about attacking this road, of course. It's also about setting up a beautiful monastery to finish a monastery with another monastery. There's still 4 monastery tiles remaining, so doing something like this is totally worth doing. That will be an unblockable spot, and we need to do something about that road eventually, because like, at 1-point road, of course, is not a big deal, but a 4-point road, that's already something. That's worth investing 1 move trying to neutralize, because, But he doesn't do that. Instead, he starts a new road of his own, but it doesn't make sense to me. Because I guess he wants to try blocking the square, But no matter what you put here, no matter how you restrict the square, there will be at least 3 tiles that fit there. There's still 3 crossroads, there's still 3 starting tiles, and there are 4, no, there's still 5 even straight lines. So I don't think that szigfrid even has to defend. That's why he doesn't do it. He just simply takes the 4 points. And another reason why I don't like this move at all from Ezitakuto is that if you were to attack his road, that would be an immediate 4-point move. 3-point road on his piece, plus a point for his monastery. Now he just makes a 2-point move, and even allows his opponent to complete a road. So it seems like it's just the first clear mistake of the game. I'm not sure exactly what was his logic. Maybe I think it's more like a psychological thing that you don't want to be invading a 1-point road of your opponent, but it's not really a 1-point road. It will be developed further. So now we're gonna have an interesting move, as the Japanese player has the Dorito tile with a road, and he could simply continue his own city on the right, he could continue his own city on the left, or he could go over here and take the 4 points for the road and prevent szigfrid from drawing a dagger tile and completing his own city and keeping the road for himself. The downside of that move is that 2 splitters are still in play, and with a splitter, of course, szigfrid would be able to continue his 10-point city, but the Japanese player does this nonetheless. It does seem like the best move. However, szigfrid now can inflict some damage, exactly like this. He's now trying to invade that big city, and there's still 4 triple cities remaining. So with a triple city, maybe another triple city and a Dorito like this, or just a triple city, Dorito, and a city cap. So 3 different tiles and plenty of each tile still available in the deck. Green could overrun the city for 22 points at least and make life very difficult for the Japanese player. So, as Ezitakuto, do you respond to this threat immediately? Do you try go at the top, creating some re-attacking platforms? Or do you wait for another day and simply make a scoring move, such as continuing your road at the bottom, or starting a loop on the left, or just adding a monastery point to yourself?
I would do the next option. I think the Ezekuto started the road on the bottom, so he can limit szigfrid to a crossroad tile in this middle hole. So szigfrid cannot take some quick points. So maybe he could have restricted it completely.
Yeah, certainly that would make sense, because now it's just a bit of an inconsistent plan, right? Because if you were to, like, if you're gonna create this blocking platform, you might as well follow through. Maybe he didn't want to do it just yet, because he would be making his road slightly more vulnerable, but they're bigger fish to fry, as Itakuro simply adds a point to his monastery, so the move that we were suggesting earlier, except that now he doesn't have a meeple to place there, so just the ripple effects of his previous mistake are really coming to bite him. And there's another threat over here, as szigfrid gets an extender tile, and with a couple of Doritos is still threatening to overrun this city, so this is really difficult for the Japanese player. He's now trying to start a new city at the top, which I think he could have done without, even without placing a meeple on the city cap, because obviously szigfrid is not going to meeple the city cap himself. He cannot possibly afford to expose this square over here from above. So he might now go over here, perhaps starting a new city, obstructing the Japanese player, and now it's all about these 2 squares. There's still 2 Doritos with a road that fit here, still 3 triple city tiles that fit here, so plenty of options for szigfrid to get something and overrun this big city for 22 points, I believe, maybe even a bit more, depends on which kind of shielded tiles we draw or we don't. There's still a chance, of course, for red in this time draw a splitter and make this city a bit smaller, so that this city at the top is shared, but the bottom city belongs to green only. Still, only a slight consolation, as the bottom city will be scoring for green at least 10 points. So we're going to see how this situation develops. As szigfrid here, do you prefer starting to obstruct Ezitakuto's city, or do you prefer to invade it from the right, simply preventing Ezitakuto from drawing an easy city cap and exposing that platform? Or do you ignore that threat entirely and simply add a point to your monastery and develop your field?
Interesting thing. I think I would start a new city pointing to, upwards.
So just like szigfrid did right now,
I can see, yeah. I learned a lot from szigfrid. He was the one who beat me in the quarterfinals of the World Championship, so I can see his moves.
Yeah, and also he's being conservative with the meeple placement, but now it's actually paying off really well, because he realizes that he doesn't need to meeple the new city cap, because obviously Ezitakuto is not going to score for that city cap. First of all, Takuto had three actually open cities of his own, and a second, of course he would not want to score the city cap in order not to expose his own little city to attack. So that's why the Japanese player finishes a city for 4 points, gets a temporary scoreboard advantage for 8 points, really temporary advantage. And this city cap at the top still up for grabs, probably for szigfrid at some point, maybe for the Japanese player if he's lucky. Straight line for szigfrid, probably now looking to make a defense. So still 2 tiles here available, 75% chance. And Takuto makes something really interesting. So of course he does not want to use a splitter here. He's probably better off simply hoping that either szigfrid does not draw one of the two Doritos with a road, or he draws it late enough that the Japanese player manages to do something with his temporary meeple advantage. But the Japanese player now does not take the upper city cap, does not finish his other city, but instead drops even more city cap and basically goes for a big field fight. What do you make of this move strategically, Zvonimir?
The field seems lucrative, but it can still be attacked from the left side, so I would think something about that, because this field could be connected and have like 6 cities or whatever.
Yeah, and also...
And by the way, Alexey, I think your camera is frozen. Somebody says in the chat.
Yeah, it's possible. I guess it's just probably going to have to stay that way. So you're gonna have to contemplate the still image of my face for a long time. Yeah, basically sometimes it happens, and the only way to do this is like restart the stream entirely, so we're not gonna do that. And thank you, Zvonimir. This actually reminds me that we really have some catching up with the chat to do, as szigfrid keeps scoring quick points after quick points for cities and for roads at the top. Equalizing the scoreboard almost, but Ezitakuto finally gets his questionable road meeple back for 4 points, and this square here next to the road still has not been resolved. Will it be blocked? Will it be restricted? We don't know that yet. Certainly szigfrid is not going to do it himself. Cow tile for the Hungarian player, probably thinking between going over here and blocking this square of Ezitakuto's city whilst also adding a point to his monastery, or maybe going over here, postponing the block for later, but at least trying to restrict the Japanese player's city cap. The former move does seem to be stronger. We're going to find out what the Hungarian player does in a second, but he makes the latter move, which kind of surprises me a little bit. I guess he decides that there's still tiles available to complete this block. So far, Ezitakuto finally finishes the plan of completing his monastery with another monastery. A very strong move for 7 immediate points and a chance to develop it and get a meeple back. Actually, in all likelihood, red will be completing the monastery given the remaining tiles. szigfrid with a city cap. I guess a scoring move is in order. 35 seconds for the Hungarian. And now time to catch up with the chat. Hi Andres, hi Wisemaze, thank you for confirming that Takuto's peak was about 660, so not quite a master, but still a very strong player. Hi Napamai, hi Ian, hi Christian. So, what are we having? The quick points are indeed being scored. Now, Mr. Takuto here, with a road monastery, and really not an obvious move here. So you could, of course, just take quick points for road. You could start a new monastery and go for the stacking approach, making the square slightly vulnerable, but then if you draw a triple city tile or a Dorito soon enough, this could give you a lot of points. Or you could forego the monasteries entirely and maybe try drop a farmer somewhere close to the top, going for the invasion of the field. Or perhaps even you could drop a farmer over here. So you add the road monastery like this, drop a farmer here for 6 points, and now the intention is to connect to the field either through this route at the top or through a road Dorito of Szigfrid if Szigfrid chooses to place it there to complete his big city. But then spending a monastery tile and farming is not something that I normally like to do, but given the priorities of the Japanese player and the fact that he's a bit ahead on the scoreboard, perhaps this could be the route to go. So Zvonimir, do you prefer the more calm monastery scoring or road scoring route, or do you just go straight for the field at the top?
I'm thinking about something else. You see this road in the middle of this hole on the top?
Yep.
I would take 2 points with the road just to ensure that there are less probabilities to block the city in the middle. Because 4 vanilla city caps are out, and if I get the dagger first as a Japanese player, I could block the monastery of Sigrid completely and ensure that my meeple doesn't get blocked. But Japanese player chooses your option. And this is quite a good move as well.
Yeah, because like, even if it's unsuccessful, it's already worth 6 points. Now Szigfrid cannot finish his city without letting the farmer in, so strategically it works out nicely. And of course, the move that you were suggesting, it would have scored 2 points, and yeah, it would have taken away 3 blocking tiles, so the 3 cow tiles away from Szigfrid. Yeah, that would be a very nice pre-block as well. It just seems to me that the Japanese player simply does not care about this meeple too much, because, well, this guy is anyway tied together with the green monastery, and a mini battle of a couple of points seems to be like not a big deal. But Szigfrid now with a cow tile, and so he does block with the exact tile that could have been with the exact kind of block that could have been easily prevented with the move that you suggested. And also what this move does, it very nicely cuts off Ezi Takuto from the main field. And Szigfrid actually, depending on the tile run out, if he gets the road Dorito, he might even choose not to place it over here, leave himself with a 5-point blocked city, and leave red with a 6-point farmer at the top for a relatively even exchange. And then later on, Szigfrid could even draw the last remaining splitter tile to get himself a 10-point city over here. So a lot in this game will be depending not only on the tile draws, but on the timing of those tile draws as well. Ezi Takuto tries to finish the city on the right. It's not possible to block it with just one move, only to restrict it. Let's see if Szigfrid chooses to use this monastery as a blocking tile. I don't think he will. I mean, the 7-point monastery at the top looks really juicy here. Instead, he goes the farming approach straight away. I can see that too. I guess his strategic approach is equalizing the farm, completing the city afterwards, which is still doable, albeit it's not that high prob. What's 75 times 70? Like 55-ish%, something at this point. Yeah, slightly over 55% is the chances. But then if he does this, lets the farmer into the field, equalizes with his own farm, maybe blocks this meeple, because of this completed city, he should overcome the 11-point deficit on the scoreboard, get a few extra points from this blocked monastery compared to the blocked city of Ezitakuto, and with that win the game by a couple of points. So I guess this must be the plan of the Japanese player. Now Takuto with the curve tries to respond. It's an interesting situation. So he could actually just go over here, add 1 point, let Szigfrid into the field, and get himself a meeple back. Or he could, on the other hand, try and block this square entirely. But then there's a risk of this monastery being blocked and Szigfrid invading through the right anyway if Takuto finishes his city. So, Zvonimir, with this curve over here, do you prefer to just let Szigfrid into the field for the sake of trying to get your meeple back quicker, or do you prefer to keep it patient and make sure that Szigfrid himself places a tile in one of these squares if he chooses to invade?
I would be patient. I wouldn't certainly play this move as Japanese player because this can easily be blocked, but Szigfrid will get into this field eventually, so there isn't much rush. And now finally Szigfrid finishes his road.
Yeah, so this road was just...
Points.
Exactly. So Takuto does finally get let Szigfrid into the field, but at a price. He's now able to complete his monastery. With the last monastery remaining, start a new one. He'll be getting a meeple back soon enough. As Szigfrid, we're probably going to see 3 points at the top, restricting the city severely. This is exactly what happens. 2 tiles still that fit into that square. But just wanted to comment a little bit. As Takuto gets a city cap to defend, I presume the dagger will go over here. It's not quite the dagger that he wants, but it is good enough because he can use it as a defense tile. He could even go crazy and drop a farmer, try to connect through his closed city. I don't think we're desperate quite yet. Szigfrid now, with an interesting choice. Do you actually separate your city, take the 10 points, and then try to have a meeple majority, which you can use later on? Or do you just keep things patient, take 4 points at the top, and try to draw one of the 2 remaining Doritos?
I would probably finish the city, because this field grows, so having additional meeple would be a really good thing.
Yeah, and then we could immediately put this additional meeple to work. This is exactly what Szigfrid does, although actually I would not have done it. I probably prefer the patience here for a couple of reasons. I'm gonna tell you later a little bit. Szigfrid probably will be able to use his meeple advantage to drop a farmer, maybe somewhere on the left, maybe somewhere over here at the top to connect to this red guy, maybe even over here to connect through red cities over here. But the reason I probably prefer to keep my patience there is simply because of the Dorito tile. It has not been drawn. Because, like, let's say if there's still both Doritos available, if I still have the threat of overrunning the city, then if Takuto draws the Dorito tile with the road, then he just can't place it over here. He can't invade properly, knowing that I'd be able to overrun this big city. So again, like, a lot depends on this timing. I probably would have preferred to keep this tension. Szigfrid chose a different route. And we also need to remind everybody that it's not a guaranteed thing that red is going to draw a Dorito in the first place. You know, sometimes, or 25% of the time, Szigfrid gets both Doritos, preserve the 2 extra points that he has for his in this little mini battle, and even denies red farmer the entry into the field. So all these things considered, Szigfrid decides that the splitter is something that's worth investing over here. Takuto with a city cap and some troubles. He could develop his monastery, but there are no monasteries remaining, so this whole idea of finishing your monastery with another monastery will not work. In fact, it would severely impede the monastery. But what he could do, he could drop a city cap next to his monastery, trying to get the last remaining city cap or one of the 2 remaining Doritos to finish his monastery with tempo. He could also make some sort of spatial move, maybe going over here or over here. No, over here rather on the left, making an invasion from this side a little bit harder. He could also drop the city cap somewhere. Wow.
Is it too early for the last farmer?
Yeah, well, the content move is what we see happening. Is it really time to do that? Would you have done that, Zvonimir?
No. 22 tiles remaining, szigfrid having 3 meeples now. It's a difficult situation for the Japanese player.
Yeah, and for example now, a piece of lost value immediately as Takuto's not able to use this tile productively at all. He could have been able to just keep his advantage on the scoreboard by placing his last meeple on a very safe city, trying to build it up. Instead, he still managed to make a productive move. He eliminates a field connection platform over here, so szigfrid now not able to drop a farmer like this. szigfrid has a Dorito, probably going to go over here, try to block Red's field entry, which could be quite painful. He's just counting which rotation is better. Probably the traditional one towards the dagger. There's 2 of those remaining. There are 3 regular curves remaining, so blocking like this is a bit less valuable. But I think that the Japanese player's idea, first of all, might be connected with has only 20 seconds remaining and just maybe couldn't find a move. But second, it's his gap. He should get his meeple back. There's also a curve plus curve combo available over here that'll give him a meeple back too. So this last meeple, even though I disagree with it, it's actually not that bad. An excellent move by Takuto now, as szigfrid tries to block the square, and Takuto now blocks an opportunity for szigfrid to drop an easy farmer. Well, szigfrid can actually still do it if he wants to, but he will not be able to meeple this beautiful 5-point road. And then let's say if you go over here and do drop an insurance farmer as szigfrid, actually I'd still do it anyway, then what could happen, Takuto could draw the Dorito tile, get his meeple back and so on. Yeah, szigfrid does drop the farmer anyway. And the downside of this move, of course, is that there's some scenarios how Takuto gets the meeple back from here, and then he gets the dagger tile and scores the extra 5 points for this road. But szigfrid gets the tile, and it will be very interesting to see, does the Hungarian player actually want to invade the field right now at the price of finishing Takuto's city and giving him his meeple back? Or do you just ignore that square, simply use this meeple to freeze this meeple of red and score 4 points in the left, trying to block red? And this is exactly what the Hungarian player does. szigfrid has now the lead on the scoreboard. This square is super dangerous, but Takuto now will be able to get a curve and save the square. 2 daggers still remaining. Or he might ignore this entirely and just want to finish his monastery. I don't think he can afford that. He really needs this invasion to work.
He can still hope for the top invasion.
Exactly, yeah. And maybe he can also actually still hope for a sort of combo of a top invasion over here, and maybe the invasion of the red farmer through the top as well, through a couple of curves or something like this, even though this route, of course, is quite easily blockable. But let's see what he does in a second. I'm pretty sure that the defense move makes the most sense to me. I mean, there's still 2 dagger tiles that fit over here. Seems like something worth doing for sure. But there's an interesting thing. Let's say if he goes over here and szigfrid gets some sort of city plus road tile. Wow, and he ignores it completely. szigfrid with a Dorito tile, trying to... I'm not even sure what he can do. Maybe obstruct the monastery a little bit, or just go ahead and meeple the ruin. At some point we will need to do it. I mean, it's juicy 8 points. Yeah, what do you make of the Japanese player's move, not defending his field connection, but going for a monastery meeple retrieval?
I mean, he needs meeple because there are some open city caps. You don't want szigfrid to have all those points for himself.
Yeah, and about this farmer on the left, I'm kind of not sure what's that about. So it's a very risky move, of course. Maybe he figured that there are actually not that many blocking tiles in the first place. Well, there are 2 curves available that would complete the block, and there are 2 daggers. One of the daggers would complete the block. We're running short on triple cities. There's only 1 available as a blocking tile. But wait, but there's still an extender in play. That's a blocking tile. And there's still a Dorito in play. That's a blocking tile. There are many blocking tiles. But I think I understand this move. That's a way for him to use tiles efficiently. But what szigfrid's gonna do, szigfrid's simply gonna go over here and equalize the farmer with the left. He's gonna drop a 0-point farmer with the idea that if red gets this invasion tile, then red will be not only getting himself into the field, but also he'll be getting green into the field. So now that green farms over here, which I think he should, specifically with the curve pointing upwards for a couple of reasons, then red's only route will be trying to connect over here with the last Dorito and then over here with a road plus curve back-to-back sequence or something similar. As szigfrid, I still think you have to do it, because there are still 2 tiles available that fits into this square, and Takuto will be prepared to use them. 17 seconds for the Hungarian player. He does drop the farmer with the correct orientation, because there are even some back-to-back options of getting a bunch of curvy tiles and connecting to this meeples like this. Takuto draws the last vanilla city cap and tries to unify the farmers that way. So now he'll be trying to draw both daggers and the Dorito with the road, with the idea of cutting off this farmer. Of course, it's something that is quite unlikely, to say the least, but as the Japanese player, you have to grasp at any kind of straws you can grasp. szigfrid wishes he had 2 meeples, because this would have been enough for him. 2 meeples, this juicy 9-point ruin at the top. Now he could pre-build it, or instead he goes, of course, the blocking route, trying to block that square. Takuto ignores this entirely. Instead, he wants to get a meeple back for himself, and szigfrid now has an interesting choice again. So Takuto now threatening to invade the field. szigfrid could give Takuto the city, but invade the farm, or he could go over here, block this invasion square, or he could go over here, take 6 points for the city, although that would dangerously expose an invasion platform. Or he could just go straight for the field, go over here, finish the city, but instead of taking the 6 points, just drop yet another farmer for a super majority on the field. Instead, he chooses to complete Takuto's city, get his top meeple into the farm, but get the 5-point road, but give the Japanese player a dangerous meeple to work with. Japanese player, 11 points extra on the scoreboard. szigfrid with the majority on the farm. But now I have to ask the question, can the Japanese player win without the farm here? So what do you do here as the Japanese player, Zvonimir? Do you just take the ruin for 9 points at the top and try to outrun your opponent's field? Or do you ignore the ruin and do something crazier, like dropping a farmer over here on the right, trying to connect through whichever tile is available? Oh wait, there's no connection available. Yeah, so if we drop a farmer on the right, there are actually no field plus field tile available to complete the connection. No monasteries, no curves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, no curves. This happens to be the last Dorito. No splitters, no vanilla city cap tiles. So this invasion square does not work in the first place. So yeah, what do you even do here? Or maybe you want to invade on the right like this, still hoping to get the road Dorito and finish the city, and then connect this farmer, and then hope to deny this green farmer the entry into the field by drawing 2 more daggers. So what's your strategy here, Zvonimir? Go for points or go for the field?
Well, this is no difficult situation. Firstly, I would count all the points on the map and decide whether this ruin on the top would be enough. That is my first goal, because szigfrid can and should have to take that ruin in order to compensate for the points. But szigfrid has 9 seconds left on the clock, so that might even... My strategy would be to play fast so szigfrid cannot count points. That would be my strategy.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe he shouldn't really be thinking for this long. I guarantee you that szigfrid is now counting points, counting tiles, being really, really focused, and he's really preparing to make his next move. He's also thinking not only about his next move, he's thinking how he's going to respond. Okay, if red connects to the field, I take the ruin. If red takes the ruin, I don't know, I block a field entry platform. So something like this. This is what's going through his mind. It will be an interesting situation. So let's say 11 points, right, is the lead of Takuto. This mini battle, 8 monastery, 2 for the city, so that's 6 points extra for szigfrid. So only 5 ahead for Takuto. 2 more points for szigfrid over here, so only 3. Okay, Takuto goes the scoring route, but instead of the ruin, he decides that he wants to complete a 10-point city and get a meeple back, but I'm not even sure if that's the best route here, because the city will be... but the point, of course, is that we don't want to allow an easy city for szigfrid to complete. Yeah, so it's a very, very tricky situation. But at least now this means that the idea of invading with this farmer will no longer work, because this invasion over here is no longer possible. This was the last city plus field tile. Takuto now takes the ruin. szigfrid now, what is going to do? Score points? So
he
the
could take 3 points on the top for the road.
He could, or maybe he could just block the Takuto city. I wonder if a complete block is possible. No, it isn't. It's only a 50-50 is possible, so it certainly makes sense to make the move that you were saying with the city cap pointing towards the right, so that he can still benefit from this city with a dagger, or this city with a vertical splitter tile, which is available. Instead, he invades the ruin, which is interesting. Not sure if it's necessary. Oh, but he scores 4 points. This also matters quite a bit. Yeah, it's a really strong move, actually, because now... Wait. But Takuto doesn't want to connect to the field, right? Because he would be just having a super minority. So it is not in the Japanese player's interest to go here in the first place. So of course he won't be giving a meeple back to green. He will be keeping the main field of green manageable at 15 points. He'll be having himself a smaller field at 6 points. And he'll probably be going over here to block the square perhaps. Or maybe trying to conjure some sort of defensive move against here. What the Japanese player needs to figure out is there an invasion tile still available? Because if there isn't, we can safely take 1 point for the ruin. If there is, then we have to block. And he goes for the defense. And the reason why he does this, so he restricts his options. He goes for 50-50 for his city, because there's still 1 tile available that fits into the square. He eliminates his own chances of drawing a vertical splitter like this, simply because he anticipates szigfrid drawing this tile, and szigfrid with that, of course, would have placed it like this with a field side up, eliminating Takuto's options completely. So he sacrifices some of his percentage points to finish the city simply for the chances that at least that 50-50 chance exists. szigfrid tries to block. Takuto now gets an extra 2 points. szigfrid gets the tile that fits into that square. Will that be enough to win? I think so. I'm not that sure. It will be incredibly close, actually.
Yeah, I wasn't counting points either, but it will be a close match.
Because the Japanese player will be getting a point extra here. And also interesting that the Japanese player did not bother even going over here. So Szigfrid, wait. So the Japanese player didn't even bother over here going to block, and he managed to draw the quadruple city tile, which would have been good enough for Szigfrid to invade this ruin as well. So let's see who won. It's really not obvious to me. I think the game is going to be decided by like 2 points or something like this, because that ruin is 10 points, which is even bigger than Szigfrid Field. Szigfrid Fields is 15 points, but Takuto's field is 6. So this is only a 9 points advantage on the field. Oh wait, I missed a farmer, so it's 18 points actually.
Yeah.
Oh, and look at this.
Manages to win.
Yeah, Szigfrid does manage to hold on with some great endgame play. I think it was extremely difficult for Takuto to come back. So Takuto would need to finish his city and deny Szigfrid the entry. So that was the beauty of this invasion over here. It was not only scoring 4 points, it was actually also denying the expansion of this city for Takuto, so that Takuto could not take advantage of these tiles going over here. And this is just saying that in order to win, the Japanese player would need to both prevent this invasion and complete his city on time and score something else, and that was just a task too difficult with so few tiles remaining. So congratulations to the Hungarian player and all our Hungarian fans for controlling the game so well. And we're going to head into the second game, but not directly, as Takuto is saying that he needs 4 minutes. Exciting game, so some extravagant decisions, lots of farming options for both players. Interesting how the city never actually got completed. Also note how Szigfrid's decision to split his city early and go for the meeple majority paid off so nicely, as the field control did secure the win for him. Any other thoughts about this game post factum, Zwadimir?
Well, I like these advanced farmers from Szigfrid. They were all relying on the daggers to get in, and Szigfrid had to made a good decision by closing Japanese players the city, because those 5 points paid off.
Exactly, yeah. And interesting how even though Takuto got himself a meeple back, he wasn't able to use it for field invasions, just because the field plus field tiles like this, we ran out of them so quickly. Also, yeah, interesting how like all the time that Szigfrid was dropping farmers, pretty much every single time except for the first time, it was super efficient because it was an attempt to connect through his opponent's feature. This farmer over here was brought into the field by Takuto's monastery. This farmer over here was brought in through Takuto's city, and this farmer on the left was going to be brought in through Red's invasion over here. So Szigfrid just dropped the farmers in the right places, and he didn't even need to spend tiles particularly on follow-ups. Just wait until his opponent with the meeple minority does something. Alright, so I will probably try to get myself some hot beverages, since we still have a couple of minutes before the game 2 is going to be started. Let me just update the scoreboard to reflect that Szigfrid has won, and I'll see you in like 40 seconds or something. Maybe that's optimistic. Hi, Miss Penguin. Oh, I messed this up. So there was no vertical splitter left, huh? Why did I miss? Okay, so this also makes, but this makes the move of the Japanese player seem a bit too desperate for me, because then he was trying to finish a city with only one type of city cap remaining in the deck. That kind of seems, and also very easy blockable. That seems to me to be a bit extra. But again, maybe his position was dire enough. So main game. Yeah, score. There we have it. Szigfrid 1, Takuto 0. Has the game started? Yes, it has. So, now szigfrid with a starting player advantage, starting a 2-point road, a fantastic tile for the Japanese player, starting a potential 8-point city. szigfrid now with another road. Instead of continuing his road at the left, okay, a better move is like this. I would have started a new road at the right, but he chooses to continue his road indirectly, giving himself an attacking platform. It's not going to work as Takuto finishes his 8-point city and meeples the road as well. Now an 8-point loop, a shared loop, is probably in the works. szigfrid with a dagger tile, probably looking to start a new city. A variety of places are available. Maybe over here at the bottom, continue his road, but then that would make his city cap slightly vulnerable. Over here and the right would be nice, but then that would help red's part of the road too much. So that's why he goes for the bottom move, leaving a 3-point road up for grabs, but starting his city in the safest possible location. The two roads are likely to be connected. szigfrid with a shielded tile, Takuto with another shielded tile, starting a city on the left. Interesting decision here. szigfrid could either continue his city, pointing it to the left to keep it a bit safe from invasions, or he could start a new city over here on the right, maybe finishing, continue one city with extenders and Doritos, and the other ones with just Doritos. Instead, he chooses to invade Takuto City, which I'm not sure I like. I mean, I prefer using shields for myself, but then he's invading a shielded tile with a shielded tile, so he just wants to neutralize the Japanese player. Maybe perhaps thinking that he managed to outplay Takuto in his first game, and he's okay with having a bit of a disadvantage on this board, on the scoreboard rather, and he plans to catch up and just outplay the Japanese player later. So he now continues his own side of the city. Takuto starts a new monastery in a relatively dangerous spot, but still worth the upside. He's supporting the city, he's controlling this road end. This is the vulnerable square over here, but not much that szigfrid can do about it. I mean, of course, we're not going to spend a city cap on attempting a block. It's just too easily defensible. Probably just finishing our own city at the bottom and meepling this road piece is the way to go. Let's see what the Hungarian player decides. Zvonimir, have any moves of either of the players surprised you so far?
The only move that surprised me was szigfrid's invasion for that city, because even though he invaded from the right side, as Takuto could have protected it from the left side. But as Takuto chose to put the new city on the bottom right, and I think I would attack the common city with two shields in that case. This city seems very lucrative, and it might even get finished because it's still early in the game. And I can also notice that a lot of shielded tiles are already out, so a lot of points to fight for.
Right, 4 out of 10 shielded tiles actually have been used with just 13 tiles played. Takuto now thinking whether to meeple the road. Yes, you do meeple the road in that case. Even though it's very easy to be blocked, it's not a block, it's a restriction. You're gonna get 3 points for your part of the road anyway, and sometimes if szigfrid gets city tiled, he actually can't block, and you can easily run away with this 8-point road. And the point of that move is not just to do this, it's just to create the threat, and this is exactly what happens. szigfrid now probably has to block this, but this means that szigfrid cannot go over here. Oh, or he can, or he can. Actually, that's a good move, because not only is szigfrid building his own 5-point road and securing it essentially, he's actually exposing another square, and chances are that szigfrid will be able to draw a straight line for here, if not here, that can prevent him losing this 8-point road. szigfrid now gets a lovely monastery to control 3 features of Takuto and 4 meeples of Takuto, controlling this square of the road, controlling this shared square between the city and the monastery. Now szigfrid with a curve and just so many options. He could go over here, finish his road. He could go over here, start blocking the city. He could go over here and start blocking this square of red. So many beautiful options available. Which one of them do you prefer, Zvonimir?
I would make as the Takuto wait for a crossroad. So I would probably protect my road in the middle.
Interesting
But
that
Takuto gets the
he gets the
crossroads.
crossroads anyway, because he just anticipates being blocked. That's the interesting part about it. So szigfrid does get his 5-point road, and Takuto still gets something out of it. He has the 3 points on the scoreboard, has 4 points extra in total. The city is closer to being finished. This monastery is better developed. And he has this slightly longer piece of road over here. The slightly shorter piece of city, but he could rectify it right now if he chooses to by completing this invasion. This would be relatively dangerous. Oh wait, that's szigfrid, right? That's szigfrid. So what green could do? Green could probably go here. I think invading red city seems like the move to me, especially since red is threatening to take 8 points. I'm not sure. Is there any other ideas?
I would invade the right city. Can I ask you, Alexey, about a few moves ago, when szigfrid continued the road, the 3-point road, before connecting it on the bottom? Would you have meepled that road?
With a second meeple.
Yeah, just in case that Takuto doesn't draw a crossroad and takes the 4 points away.
I think that would be a bit extra. I think that would be a bit extra to do that, simply because the chances... Let's say, like, if we do get blocked there, then losing 2 meeples is just a bit too much, or even having like 2 meeples restricted for a long time is just a bit too much. It doesn't happen rarely, but when it does happen, it's such a pain that in the long term it doesn't seem to be worth it. But it's a very close decision. I mean, you might meeple this this road anyway. Maybe I would have meepled it in case this triple city at the bottom, like if in case this tile weren't there, because this tile represents already some vulnerability and attacking platform. Not necessarily to block this meeple, but for example, Takuto could have gotten himself a cow tile or something like this and started a new city, controlling 2 of szigfrid's meeple, and then szigfrid would be forced to wait and then continue red's city in order to get his 2 road meeples back. So I assume this must have been the logic of szigfrid. But in the meantime, again, bigger fish to fry, or not really. So as szigfrid managed to invade, agrees with us, Takuto is trying to re-invade with this city cap plus extender combo. However, it is not that dangerous because there's only 1 extender tile that fits into this square. So even if Takuto gets the Dorito tile to connect these 2 city pieces before szigfrid can do something about it, chances are that one of the 3 splitter tiles will be drawn before the extender tile, and probably szigfrid can go over here, allow Takuto to have his 8 points, but szigfrid will be able to drop the first farmer. This farmer will be worth 9 points with some green squares for development, so that's enough compensation. And chances are that Takuto himself will get that splitter tile and place it over here, simply to guarantee that this meeple sees the light of day, because I doubt that the Japanese player will want to rely on a coin flip for the one and only extender for the rest of the game, especially since he has the lead on the scoreboard. szigfrid starts a new monastery on the right at the same time, exposing this vulnerable square, maybe looking to block it or re-invade it. Can't do it just with this tile. Maybe he'll want to simply add 1 monastery point to himself and restrict that square, setting up a 3-point road, which would benefit him. He could take this 3 points and then create a platform for a complete block of this square. Kind of seems the move to me. Some alternatives include going over here and exposing this square from the other side. This would kill off a monastery spot, but maybe that's not such a big deal with only 2 field monasteries remaining in the deck. Or simply developing his monastery on the other side is another option. But I wonder why he would do that. I guess maybe he really wants to draw something to invade this square rather than block, but I doubt if that works often enough. So Zvonimir, do you agree with szigfrid here, or would you have done something else with a straight line?
He likes roads. I think I would do actually the same move. Because when he completes this monastery, like with the road tiles above the monastery, then he has 6 or 7 points road to get.
Oh, so that's the plan. But you see, by completing the reason why I didn't like this move is that like completing this monastery implies this square being filled, and this square being filled implies red being successful with his city attack. I guess the monastery would be a nice compensation for that, and szigfrid now gets a tile to actually reinvade that city, but it's a question if you even want to do that, because Takuto just drew a cow tile, so there are only 5 big tiles remaining, and it seems like a lot, and probably, especially since you had this road idea, Zvonimir, yeah, he goes for it. He goes for invasion, which is a very double-edged move, so he will equalize the city. And he's building a huge, huge road next to his monastery for him to meeple upon completion. However, relying on this tile over here could be a bit dicey as Takuto draws another one. And even though you have 5 of those, you have to think that your opponent will try and block it. And often enough, your opponent is going to be successful here. If not for a complete block, but at least for a 50-50 block. And then even if we complete the city, this could be quite a wait. So generally, invading a city, your opponent or share, doesn't matter, through a square in your monastery, through a triple city is a risky endeavor. There was... in one of the viewer game analysis video earlier in the spring this year, I think I were covering it, but still a nice continuation for szigfrid as he's able to limit the blocking options. Takuto, of course, trying to block, and now he goes for a 50-50 block, which I probably agree with. Although I'm not sure if that's
if I was szigfrid, I would rotate it differently. Just because as the Takuto needs those city extenders in different space.
Right, but then there's only one extender, really. And the reason, you know why actually I like szigfrid's rotation is because it allows only for a 50-50 block that happened. If you rotate it the other way, there are 2 tiles that give you a complete block. So the quadruple tile, of course, gives a complete block because there are no other quadruple tiles remaining. And the triple city tile with a road would also, with a field, would also give a complete block if we committing the square to the other triple city tile. So this is why szigfrid placed it over here to simply allow 50-50 blocks but not complete blocks. But a 50-50 block is damaging enough. First of all, if green doesn't draw this square, this tile of green just loses. And if green does draw this tile, it could be late enough in the game that green loses anyway. Now we can see that the meeple minority makes green suffer quite a bit, as extra points are being scored by Takuto, and szigfrid cannot really take advantage of his city caps. He gets a curve finally, probably going to either take 3 points for this road or simply equalize his own road together with red on the left.
He should equalize because he needs Meeple's back. The field is getting bigger. It might even be, what, five city fields, so a Meeple in stock is a good one. But he doesn't choose. He chooses to get 3 points because he's also behind on points on the scoreboard.
Yeah, he's behind on everything. Takuta now with another city
Tough
cap and
situation.
more city options, more point scoring options. Tough situation indeed, yeah. Well, let's see if he draws his magic tile soon enough. But even that is probably, honestly, just not going to cut it. Okay, szigfrid with a straight line could probably continue building his road without a meeple probably still. But then if he does this without the meeple, then like Takutu just going to take a curve and meeple the road himself.
Yeah, that's not his road, yes, but he thinks of it as its own.
I mean, do we just go here and place the meeple anyway? But if we do this, then we're relying on 3 curves in 3 different places. I don't like that idea necessarily. And also, if we complete the road, it does something interesting to the geometry in the field. That's why he doesn't go for it. If we complete the road, then this 6-point farm will be unified with this 6-point farm. It will create a huge 12-point farm with a lot of green squares, and this benefits the side which has more meeples, which is Japan.
szigfrid did a nice move on the top left, on the bottom left, because he really needs that meeple back, so he decided to protect it indirectly.
Yeah, so the indirect defense works in such a way that a curve now is not able to be used by red as a blocking tile against the square. Only one of the 3 remaining straight lines is possible to be placed here, so that makes this square much safer. And as Zvonimir said before, he needs this connection not just for the 2 extra points, but to get his meeple back, because 2 against 3 meeple disadvantage, it's not such a big deal as 1 against 2. Takuto now can put his meeple advantage into work, but maybe starting an 8-point city over here and slightly obstructing szigfrid's road next to his monastery, or maybe just meepling this road straight up, or maybe just starting a new city in a safe square, or maybe even going for a farm straight away. Out of the many options for the Japanese player, which one do you prefer, Zvonimir?
I would go on the far right, just to mess up the monastery and the road of szigfrid.
Right, and
the farthest right space.
Yeah, and that would also threaten an 8-point city as well.
No, just on the farthest right.
Ah, so
just
even
to start the city in the next field.
Even further, and kind of, so not obstructing directly, but creating more platforms to further obstruct this. The downside of that move, of course, is that in some scenarios our own city gets obstructed, but actually it is relatively safe, because this square over here is relatively restricted, and szigfrid already needs curves in another place, so szigfrid needs to use curvy tiles over here. The Japanese player has 27 seconds. Instead, he chooses to go for a farm, which I think is kind of like, it's a bit of a waste of a tile, because he can, if I am red here, I really want to keep my temporary meeple advantage for as long as possible so that I can exploit it. This farmer is only worth 6 points. It will grow, but by the time szigfrid can consolidate a little bit. So I would have preferred either your moves, Zvonimir, or maybe just starting a new city elsewhere, just to capitalize on the scoring potential of those tiles. Yeah, we can see that szigfrid is now trying to block the shared city cap. Not the shared city cap, but the city cap in red's field to prevent red's expansion potential. Red unifies the big ruin on the left, so this is likely going to be inconsequential. Of course, 9 points are being shared between this Hungarian and Japanese meeple, but no invasion platforms for either side to take over the city. Quick points for szigfrid. Yeah, so back to this move. Now finally, the final straight line is being drawn by red, and just as green was preparing to go over here and finally get himself a meeple back. So as lovely as this defense move was, ended up not working. szigfrid probably looking to build up his monastery at the same time, breaking a potential 10 or 12-point city in Takuto's field. This, of course, would leave this road exposed, but maybe that's actually not such a big deal, and he decides that this is exactly the case. This road actually cannot be finished because there is only one straight line available, and you would need 2 straight lines to finish this road properly, although there's one other option, a curve plus road monastery combo. That would work.
But it would extend the field by 2 cities.
Yeah, but it also
Or
seems
no,
like...
it wouldn't.
No, it would.
Because it's on the...
Oh, right, you're right. Yeah, because this square is not filled.
And the other road monastery is already out, so...
Yeah.
Interesting combo.
Yeah, so actually, the road monastery is a pretty important tile. Szigfrid needs to get the road monastery before Takuto gets the road monastery, because if Takuto gets the road monastery... Wait, what was that? Ah, no, that was fine. That's just Red developing his field, right? Scoring 4 extra points. Oh, no. That was Szigfrid scoring the points. Red dropped a city cap in his field, and Green just cleaning it up. So that's standard stuff, right? I kind of at first hallucinated that the colors were reversed, and like, what, are they both helping each other? What kind of shenanigans are these? But no. It's just your regular stuff. Szigfrid cleaning off the city cap. This field's getting slightly bigger, but the scoreboard lead becoming narrower. So back to how crucial this road monastery is, right? So if Red draws it, Red can get 2 points and also expand his field by adding another city. But if Green draws it, Green can go over here, meeple this really safe road for 9 points, or 8 points rather, and also block the expansion potential of Red's field. So if Green can draw the road monastery tile soon enough, he's going to be right in the game. And as Green, you probably try and go for it. You probably try and set up that coin flip. You just pre-finish your monastery, and then you wait for the road monastery before your opponents can get one. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but it would be devastating if the Executa draws the monastery before Szigfrid.
Yeah, but you know what else would be devastating? If nothing else happens in this game and we just trudge along until it's finished and Red just keeps his advantage. So, of course, it wouldn't feel as devastating, but a loss by 10 points or a loss by 30 points is a loss nonetheless. Again, for newer viewers, the point difference is not even a tiebreaker. It's not like some other competitive games like, say, Scrabble, where the point difference is a tiebreaker. No, here it's just either win or lose.
So you want to say, let's do it for the content?
Of course, let's do it for the content, and he does it. But I also think it's just objective of the best move. Like, it just happens to win slightly more often than other options. And it also has some defensive merits. There are still 4 crossroads available, and a 4-point or 5-point road, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, a 5-point road was available for Takuto if Takuto were to draw a crossroad. And now actually there are no scoring options with the crossroads entirely. So in the short term, it has some defensive merits as well. I guess the one thing that I don't like about it as a Hungarian player is that it also takes away scoring options from myself with the crossroads, but it sets up something bigger and nicer. Takuto with the city cap is really thinking before taking the 2 points at the 4 points at the top. Kind of seems like the move to me. Of course, he simply gets a meeple back. I kind of forgot about this whole situation, but I don't like it, actually. Because he gives Szigfrid a meeple back. And it gives Szigfrid a chance to draw the triple city tile and finish a bigger city. And a 3 versus 2 meeple advantage is not as big of a deal as 2 against 1. So even though in the short term it scores nicely, it just gives Szigfrid too many chances, if you ask me. So Szigfrid can even go for farmers now. Now, if for Szigfrid, actually, I probably like scoring pre-meepling this 4-point road at the bottom and then hoping to draw a crossroad tile. There are still 4 crossroad tiles available and no good places to use them. I think it seems like a strong move over here, leaving 6 high-impact tiles in the deck. So, of course, one of the 4 crossroads, the road monastery, and the triple city tile over here. Instead, he starts a new city, which also has some merits, as it is a shielded tile, and it denies Takuto the opportunity of trying an 8-point city of his own. Takuto will probably now likely invade, or maybe just leave this tile over here and try and block Szigfrid's meeple, or maybe just ignore that city entirely and drop a farmer, and this is exactly what he does. But Szigfrid now will be able to continue his city at the top and try to run away with some 12, 14, 16 points. Hi, Lorena. Szigfrid thinking before continuing his city. I'm not sure if that's...
Yeah, because it's dangerous because there's still a city splitter left, if I'm not mistaken.
Like with the city splitter, the worst that can happen, like your opponent invades and you share the points. At least you don't lose the meeple, so that's why he goes for it nonetheless. Takuto with a crossroad tile, probably going to score 2 points. At the same time, creating an attacking platform against Szigfrid. So the only question is whether we point the road side up or the field side up. Decides that the field side up will yield him more tiles to manage to continue that city. Szigfrid with a curvy tile, not much to do. I mean, he could consider dropping his last meeple to farm. Instead, he simply discarded another scoring tile for Takuto. Szigfrid's being disciplined with his meeples, but he's severely down on the scoreboard. Okay, Szigfrid actually with some moves over here, he could go over here, blocking the square entirely, not allowing Takuto to draw the road monastery and develop his 6-point field into a 9-point field. Now that the tides have turned a little bit, I probably prefer this move. Or maybe he wants to go over here on the left for an indirect defense of his city, simply blocking the invasion square a little bit, and maybe he still later wants to complete his city, drop a farmer here for 9 points, and then draw the last road monastery. But no, he wants to play it safer, as he often does. Now, no tile goes into the square. As lovely as this potentially looks, this was the last straight line. Takuto now with a regular monastery, probably looking to simply score 6 points. At the same time, potentially expanding his field with a curve, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, still 3 curves remaining, and even some good chances of finishing his monastery with 3 curves, for example. Still thinking about it. Szigfrid, minus 21 on the scoreboard. Hi, Self-Evident. Hi, Hannah. You're getting some compliments in the chat.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, I mean, are there any other ideas than the monastery meeple here, Zvonimir?
The field extension seems pretty good. It's 6 points plus potential 2 more cities on the field. Why not?
Yeah, and also this actually puts a lot of pressure on Szigfrid, because Szigfrid will kind of need to drop a farmer here really soon. And this is exactly what the Japanese player does. And if Szigfrid doesn't drop a farmer here soon, like after this extension is completed, then it's very difficult to invade this 9-point field, which is probably going to be a 12-point field after this city is being completed. So Szigfrid over here with a scoring tile, probably thinking either to get 2 points. Again, there are various locations for getting 2 points, and you probably need to pick the best location for the board shape. For example, do we want to leave a 3-point road like this up for grabs to add some variance into the game? Or do we want to go over here and protect this invasion square a little bit? Or maybe we want to simply add a city cap to ourselves and try to run away with a 12-point city. Instead, he simply cleans off a city cap in his opponent's field. This field, of course, is now growing out of proportion with 15 points, but the plan of Szigfrid is to draw a triple city tile, get his meeple back, and invade that field later. Great move from the Japanese player, trying to eliminate a field connection platform. There's still one available on the right. Szigfrid with the Dorito tile, probably still able to continue his city. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, only one Dorito tile available, but he decided that it is still worth it because there's still one splitter tile available, so 2 tiles available to complete the city immediately, and the road monastery is being drawn by the Japanese players. So this defensive move by Szigfrid earlier ends up paying off nicely, as this 9-point road is not available for the Japanese player anymore. Probably either just a 2-point road over here, or maybe simply connecting the farms early enough is an option for the Japanese. Zvonimir, do you prefer maximizing the points or taking a 1-point sacrifice for the sake of urgency here?
I would probably connect the fields just in case, because I think the Szigfrid doesn't have a lot of options to equalize the scoreboard. So by ensuring the field stays for the Japanese player, I don't even know whether meeple maybe that monastery, or just put it to connect the fields.
I probably prefer just placing it over here, but then with that we also need to ask ourselves, what do we need the meeple for? And yeah, especially since there was a better monastery in the deck, you know, if we were to get that one as red, then we would meeple the last one. I think there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's still 1 crossroad tiles in the deck. No horses. But you might want to keep a meeple for insurance. Maybe, for example, what you want to do is Takuto at some point. If you get a curve tile, you go over here and you meeple the field up top for insurance, simply so that Szigfrid cannot invade the main field, the 15-point field. Also, there are some scoring tiles available. Yeah, actually, there are 2 starting tiles that could give either side a 6-point road, so we kind of need to keep a meeple for that. Szigfrid with the monastery. Now, of course, Szigfrid could have gone over here and dropped the 6-point farmer, hoping to get a meeple back from here or from here soon enough, but now he cannot do it. Instead, Szigfrid is forced to take a 5-point monastery. I agree with him. He needs to score a lot, and he needs to be very efficient. He needs to assume that his next tile is going to be this triple city tile over here, and this will give him 3 meeples back, so he needs to spend his last meeple now already in advance. Doesn't get the tile that he wants. He just gets a simple curve that allows him to get 1 monastery point, so at least that's something.
But I don't think that will be enough.
Yeah, nothing will be enough, as just Takuto has 2 big fields, and to rub it in, he even gets the triple city that Szigfrid got. But even the triple city would have not been enough, because the thing that I told earlier, that the city is not big enough to justify the severe temporary meeple disadvantage that you're putting yourself into. Szigfrid with the city cap still can't get any of his meeples back, despite the 2 tiles still available for his city up top. Probably going to get 1 monastery point. Not sure about the orientation here. Yeah, I wonder, like, Zvonimir, what do you do in positions like this? So you're clearly losing, like, you're down 17 points on the scoreboard. Your opponent just drew the, final nail in this game, having 2 big fields. So no matter what Szigfrid does, even with cooperation from Takuto, this game will be won by the Japanese player. So do you still try and find the optimal endgame to feel a bit better about yourself, or do you simply make some moves with less thought to save your brain cells for the decider?
The other option. So I would rather take it easy, get back in the mindset for the decider, because now it's 1-1. It will be 1-1, so szigfrid should concentrate and forget about this match as soon as possible and prepare for the next one.
Yeah.
This situation doesn't have any possible outcomes than the Japanese player winning, so...
So szigfrid just gets himself 1 point, which is the highest scoring move available to him. Your position is not great when your highest scoring move is just 1 point. Well, he gets the another tile to give him 1 point. Yay! Takuto with a curve, which means that szigfrid will be very luckily completing his city at the top, very luckily drawing a Dorito. Which also means that Takuto, by the way, was also not thinking, because the best scoring move was pre-meepling the 6-point field instead of a 4-point road. So a 2-point mistake here from the Japanese player. How could they?
Just to rub it in. He should have done it.
Yeah, exactly. I really like to play optimally in games where I'm winning. So like when I'm losing, then maybe I can be like a bit less... But when I'm winning, especially if there's one more game to come, just try to get that psychological advantage. Like, I've got all bases covered. Like, there's nothing that you can do. So, very interesting game. And before I look at this, Red even having the advantage even before the field meeples are counted, and after the field meeples are counted, it's nearly 40 points. No, it looks like we're going to have ourselves a 10-minute break as Takuto needs to run some urgent errands. But let's just talk about this game real quick. So it does seem that at first maybe Takuto drew a couple more city cap than his opponent, a couple more scoring tiles, but I think what the game ultimately came down to is this invasion of the city, which was incredibly risky. And I think this is what ultimately cost szigfrid the game, because even though there are like 4 or 5 tiles remaining, when you make invasions like this, you need to assume that your opponent will try to block and limit your options. And the tiles available at this moment were 2 triple cities with a field, so 2 cows, 2 horses, and 1 quadruple city. So this means, like, when your opponent completes some sort of restriction, the best that you can hope for are 2 tiles that fit into that square. And that's a 75% chance of completing, but since you have 3 meeples invested there, so what, like, losing 3 meeples with a 20% chance is... How is that? Yeah, it's like losing 0.75 meeples in the long run, which is almost an entire meeple. So that is quite kind of a lot. And then also the upside of completing that city is not that great. It's not that big in the first place.
No shields.
No shielded tiles were available, right? Well, I guess before the block, there were some scenarios how a horse tile could have been drawn. Yeah, but also interesting, like, even if szigfrid were to get the tile relatively early enough, the city it's just simply not that big. And so even if you were to complete it, just that temporary meeple majority from Takuto allowed him to just have control of this field, control of that field, and really play the space, while szigfrid was forced to sacrifice a lot of points to leave empty city caps to not take advantage of scoring tiles simply because he only had 1 meeple. So for example, this tile over here, he was not able to score a 6-point road. There were some city caps with which he was not able to start a new city, and this sort of stuff adds up. I'm kind of curious to check something out. One of the factors to measure luck in the game is the amount of city caps drawn. So like this is very often a good predictor of winning the game. Of course, there are other things like monasteries and crossroads and the timing of the tiles drawn as well. But I just really like doing this. So the amount of city caps drawn. So Szigfrid got this one, this one, this one. He got this one. He got this one. Then which other tiles he got? Not this one. He got this one. He got this one. This was all drawn by red, I believe. This was drawn by red. This one I don't remember actually. This was drawn by red. So Szigfrid drew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's actually kind of unlucky. That's really unlucky. So Szigfrid drew 7 out of the 22 city caps. So did Takuto draw 15? Yeah, it's really difficult to win a game with just 7 city caps. So if you think about 7 city caps...
And he drew a few of them at the very end, so that's also a factor.
That's true, but I mean, like, you're supposed to be able to make use of a city cap towards the very end as well. And yeah, of course, the timing was a factor, and he did end up losing the coin flip. But yeah, so those city caps actually were quite helpful because Takuto drew 8 city caps. Okay, it's not 7. 8 is actually not that bad. 8 against 14. Still quite imbalanced. I would... I think, okay, I need at some point to make a probability chart. Like, what are the chances of you drawing a certain number of city caps per game? And I think 8 is really not a lot because the average is 12. No, the average is 11. So this is 3 city caps fewer than expected. Both splitters were drawn by Takuto as well. Well, yeah, so certainly, the
Szigfrid drew 1 splitter, the regular splitter.
Oh, right, yeah, he drew the regular splitter as well. Yeah, I have it circled on my screen. You might not see that necessarily, but yeah. Oh, no. Actually, wait. Szigfrid drew this and this. So Szigfrid drew 10. Yeah, he completed this 4-point city. That was Szigfrid. So it's 10 against 12. It's actually completely... It's basically even. So it's just about the timing. Huh. Yeah, I just forgot to count that. So 10 for Szigfrid and 12 for Takuto. Well, anyway, I'm gonna be checking real quick if they're started the next game. I don't think so, because I have a suspicion that these 10 minutes are going to last longer than 10 minutes. Takuto was saying that he actually needs to go outside. I know that Japanese people, a lot of them live in like huge apartment buildings, so you know, all the time it takes you to get down from the 30th floor and then up. This could be a while. Wait, did we see a message?
Yeah, oh, no, he just said that he's back.
Yay, let's go. So hopefully everything's alright with them. They will be now starting the game, and I'll try to use these 30 seconds to get myself some hot beverages. Alrighty, let's refresh again.
They just started. 4 points for Takuto.
Perfect.
Szigfrid starting a new city. All classical moves for now, so yes. Nothing unexpected.
So the Japanese player with the starting player advantage. Interesting that both the first and the second game were won by the second player, which is statistically a bit less likely than the opposite. Takuto was thinking whether to meeple the road or the field. Should probably go for the road. That would be the more classic move. You really don't want to allow Szigfrid to get easy road points if he completes the city quickly, and Takuto agrees, so much so that I don't even think Szigfrid will be finishing his city. No, he might, because there's just simply no better alternative. Because you're kind of forced to help Red's road, and this is exactly where you're supposed to meeple a road like this. Imagine if there is a road meeple not here, then Green just goes over here and gets road points for extra advantage. And I think he has to kind of just bite the bullet and finish the city. Normally you want to wait. Normally you want to finish a city like this with something like a dagger tile that gets you meeple back, but does not give a valuable road end to your opponent. But there's just no good other placement. If you place over here and start a new city, well, you're helping Red even more, finishing his road from the other side. But he does this anyway, and I really don't like that at all. It helps Red way, way too much. And it gives them this piece. And now we can't even use road tiles to invade. So I'm a bit surprised about that move. I guess Szigfrid really wants to be super efficient over here. But that efficiency will end up kind of costing him a couple of points anyway, due to giving a crossroad to his opponent. Takuto with a Dorito tile start the city at the top. Szigfrid with a dagger tile will either complete his city at the bottom or start a new one.
Maybe Szigfrid counted on that he will draw some crossroad and get those 3 points for himself.
This is an option, actually, so there's still 7 crossroads available for him to do that, but just as well, Red could draw crossroads, or Red could draw one of the many, many curvy tiles remaining in the deck. So, of course, statistically, incomparably more likely that Red would be able to draw one of the 9 curves before one of the 7 crossroads are drawn by Szigfrid, and there are additional curvy tiles like daggers and Dorito that fit there. Szigfrid really likes being efficient with his tiles now. Goes for a new city. Really, with 3 extenders still in play. He wants to be as efficient as possible.
One interesting move that he could go for now is to go to the top right and to obstruct the city.
You meant as Szigfrid, top right. How would
As
that work?
Szigfrid, yeah, to obstruct the city by putting the horse tile with the road towards up, and to possibly block 2 meeples of Takuta.
Yeah, but then I probably wouldn't like that, because that would be an interesting move. Like, but sacrificing a shield seemed just be like a bit too much. And also in some scenarios,
a weird move. As Takuta risked that for himself, just the same position.
Yeah, I know what this move does, but I know what this move does. But of course, the idea is that, like, for some reason, Takuta really wants to block the city over here of Szigfrid. But he could, as you said, he could get his other meeple blocked, because now Szigfrid can implement your idea just with a cheaper tile. Something like a road Dorito goes here nicely. But then also, in the event that Szigfrid completes his city, Szigfrid can actually just go here and try blocking that square. So there are some scenarios how Red's meeple of the road gets blocked, but Szigfrid meeple over here survives. But now, the Hungarian player really needs to decide on his priorities. If you go over here, and he does, in fact, complete the defense, then Takuto will be continuing his road quite a lot, and this is exactly what happened. So this is a triple-purpose move that's really lovely, actually, from the Japanese player, extending his potential road in the future, so much so that Szigfrid's maybe not even incentivized to finish his city. And then saving this square, leaving 4 tiles that fit there that would give extra 3 points and potentially meeple back for Takuto, and also restricting this square over here as Szigfrid is starting to threaten a completed city of his own. So the downside of this move from Szigfrid is also that it a bit helps Takuto to try and finish a lip-shaped city over here. Still 3 Doritos that go here, a bunch of Doritos that go over here. Szigfrid now trying to cover up his city from one side. Takuto renews the blocking threat whilst also continuing his road indirectly. And now Szigfrid is forced to make an indirect defense move, going over here with the city downwards. That would leave only 3 blocking tiles available for Takuto. He happens to draw one of them straight away. How unfortunate for the Hungarian player. Let's see if he manages to keep his cool. This was still, of course, by far the best move for Szigfrid. I wonder if meepling that city was worth it, actually. Because then Takuto would not have been able to block this square without adding points to Szigfrid. But
should Szigfrid now just take 3 points for the road in the middle?
Probably, yeah. But maybe he has some other ideas. Maybe he just wants to take 4 points for the road at the bottom, for example. Actually, something that I really like. Also exposing another attacking platform against Takuto's new city. That's also kind of to rub it in. Not only does Takuto block Szigfrid with just 4 points, he's also starting a new city for himself for a lot of value. But we could start a 4-point road and kind of create a loop, simply because, well, there is a 1 in 8 chance that we'll be able to draw the 3 other T-shaped tiles, and then maybe we can finish this city and try to deny him a road. But Szigfrid, I think, with either a misclick or at the very least an just severe mistake, I'm just shocked about this move. So meepling this road is great, but there are 3 reasons why it is so much better to turn the crossroads the other way with the roadside to the left. First of all, you'd be setting up a 6-point loop that can allow you to finish a road without a crossroads. Second of all, you would be exposing a better attacking platform against Red City, because now Red City is relatively safe with these 2 road tiles next to it. If the field side was over here, there would be a greater variety for attacking tiles that Szigfrid can use. For example, cow tiles or even regular city caps. Now he needs to wait specifically for a road tile in 2 spots or a city plus road tile in 2 spots. Third, it gives back this wonderful monastery spot that Takuto could take and is statistically more likely to take for 5-point and control over Szigfrid's road. And I think that this move was not a misclick, just based on the timing tell. So I'm really surprised about this. And the only explanation I might have is that maybe he did not want Takuto to draw a road and equalize this road, and place a meeple like this. But then Green's road is even not that valuable in the first place. I mean, 4 points are nice, but these are not 10 points. And if your opponent spends 2 tiles on attacking it, well, that's really not such a big deal. Takuto starts a new road off his own. Not a move that I would play, but a reasonable one. The reason why I don't like that move, it indirectly makes this city a bit more vulnerable. Also here now we can see the consequences of Szigfrid's move. He's now not able to use the city cap to start attacking Takuto's meeple, and this might as well be game decisive. But he has other moves. He should not be finishing his city on the left. Probably going on the right, starting a new city somewhere close to Takuto's big city, either here or maybe over here on up top, kind of exposing more attacking platforms next to it would be the way to go, whilst also keeping 2 cities open. Let's see what the Hungarian player decides. So Zvonimir, what's your favorite city cap placement here for green?
I would go bottom right, with the city pointing towards right.
Ah, so like this. So basically not about the big city, but the idea is to obstruct the small city and also expose the road, give it some vulnerabilities, some potential attacking options. And Szigfrid plays quite the move. It has a purpose. It definitely is not a justifiable use of a city cap when you're 1 meeple down and 4 points down on the scoreboard. So here's the idea behind this move. It has an idea. The idea is this. we plan to get one of the dagger tiles, get a meeple back, maybe even drop a farmer, and then we're also blocking red's road with a 50-50 chance because there's only one city cap that fits over here. We're also exposing the vulnerability of red city over here. But it's still a city cap. It's a lot of points. And the idea was, like, if you just turn it the other way, you can still continue this blocking idea a little bit later. But then, what do I know? This could actually work just nicely. But szigfrid is spending so many tiles on blocking. I know, like, out of the top players, he's one who prioritizes this sort of stuff a lot. So now that Takuto continues his monastery, which I would have done with the meeple, by the way, you know, because this move is actually, it's not a very good move without a meeple, because it allows green to take a straight line and very easily continue his road. Green now with the monastery, so I really interesting to see what he does. Either he's gonna go over here, take his road back, and equalize red's monastery, which is the highest scoring move, or he's going to sacrifice all these points and go over here for the sake of blocking Takuto City. No, he doesn't block that much. He decides to simply take the points while he still can, and the Hungarian player is ahead on the scoreboard. Japan is building their city. Now one Dorito tile available away from securing it entirely. szigfrid does not get a road tile to block. He can complete this block, actually, which is probably worth doing, but he doesn't do it anyway, which a bit surprises me. Maybe he's waiting specifically for a Dorito. Another, I mean, it's just a mistake from Takuto. Why do you leave this road open, leaving a chance for szigfrid to score 5 easy points, 4 for the road, 1 of the monastery? I mean, you always meeple roads like these. Even though it's as a losing mini battle, it's still nice to not allow your opponent scoring options. So both players really like to leave options for the other player way more than in the previous games. Now szigfrid with a shielded tile. Oof, it's
nice move.
It's still a nice
50-50
move.
and it's easily blockable.
It's true. It's a nice move, but it's such a juicy tile to be spending a move like this. And now szigfrid will be spending another blocking move. He'll be either going over here, blocking Takuto's road, or going over here, trying to block Takuto's city. Like, these are all kind of good moves.
I think he might even take the road. He might even take the road now for himself, just to prevent the 50-50 block on the monastery below.
Let me think about this. Oh yes, right. Yeah, that's a great idea, because like Takuto could get a something like a cow tile and then block this square. And then if we go over here, then we're pre-building a very nice road next to ourselves. Instead, szigfrid chooses to attack a city, which also kind of makes sense. Takuto now needs to make a decision whether to start a new city at the bottom and start to obstruct this monastery, or maybe try to do a szigfrid impersonation and put the city cap over here, blocking his monastery towards a 50-50, or maybe YOLOing it, trying to cover up his city at the top, hoping to later defend it and draw the last remaining dagger that fits into the square and just run away with the big city at the top. So, or maybe we can even start a new city on the right, defending this square a little bit. So plenty of options for the Japanese player. What's your favorite city cap placement, Zvonimir?
Let's go for the content. If he doesn't even complete the city on the top, at least he makes szigfrid be careful about it and tries to block it immediately. So,
right,
but
yes.
if he completes the city on the top, that would be like almost a complete win.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, so of course the downside is that he will not be able to develop this rune any further, but maybe he doesn't have to, as this city will be already scoring 8 points, so that's almost a good enough investment for a meeple, and just the threat of completing it could make szigfrid sacrifice a few points. But given that szigfrid is a bit behind on the scoreboard, I also might think that the plans of szigfrid might simply be to just draw the one remaining dagger and not even bother blocking. Yeah, now that you say that, I really want the Japanese player to actually play that move. Instead, he starts a new city next to the monastery of green. But this also allows green to take it easy with that city a little bit. I don't think green should block right now. Green can probably continue his city on the left, which is exactly what he does. Catches up on the scoreboard a little bit with new, fresh 6 points. Takuto continuing his city and exposing a vulnerability next to Szigfrid's monastery. Szigfrid has interesting moves available to him. He could either finish his city on the left, or he could continue his road next to his monastery and meepling this road, pushing it into Takuto's city, or he could just simply go super conservative and use this tile as a defense tile for his monastery, still trying to draw one of the 5 remaining curves that fit into that square, and not allowing an easy block. Or even he could try and repeat the scenario of the previous game, trying to invade this shared city on the left, hoping for one of the 5 remaining invasion tiles, one of the 5 remaining big tiles still available. So between these options, points, defense, invasion, what do you prefer, Zvonimir?
In this case, defense, because we have already one meeple blocked. We would need other meeples to do something, so I would just defend the monastery.
Right. It is quite the point sacrifice, though, and that's a bit of my concern. And that's why he does not go for defense. He simply goes for scoring opportunities, but also in a way that's some sort of defense. It's as a defense against Takuto getting 2 easy city points. I mean TOO, not TWO, of course. It's way more than 2 points. And he just kind of wants to gamble a little bit, maybe draw a defense tile a little bit later. Does not want to give away so much value from here. And also, if Takuto were to finish his city on the left, Takuto would actually be able to block this square of Green's monastery, which would make this sort of defense a bit go to waste. So I like the aggression from Szigfrid here. Also, the invasion would have been okay because the circumstances are slightly different than in the previous game. The geometry is slightly different in the previous game, but a nice strong option for the Hungarian player. And Takuto now does not finish his city on the left because he does not want to be finishing his road, his opponent's road. He wants to wait for a dagger tile or a starting tile that would finish his city whilst also continuing but not finishing Szigfrid's road. But Szigfrid, on the other hand, will be looking to get maybe the shieldless horse tile that would finish his road but not finish Takuto's city. Szigfrid does manage to follow through with his plan as he gets a defense tile on his next move, trying to use tiles really efficiently. So the tile with the least value he uses a defense tile, the tile with the most value he uses as a scoring tile, and he's set up to get a curvy tile that would give him a meeple back and nice juicy 9 points on the scoreboard. Gets another meeple back, 5 points on the scoreboard, only -4 for Szigfrid. Takuto with a monastery goes for a farm. Interesting.
Was that necessary?
Yeah, it's like it's not a big farm, and it's not that like Takuto has like 7 meeples to work with, and he's now at a meeple minority, and Szigfrid doesn't need to fight for this farm. For example, what Szigfrid can do, he can just simply go over here, take 2 points, and significantly restrict the potential of the farm up top. Then he can get something like a straight line or a cow tile and really box this meeple in with just 6 points. On the other hand, if Takuto were to meeple the monastery, it would have been worth already 5 points and then some extra chances to build up over here and even complete this monastery, potentially even meepling a road in the process. Now Takuto is going for the content, as you were suggesting earlier, but in a different way, using this tile over here to not score 3 points at the bottom and not score 2 points on the right, expanding his field, but to score 0 points but give himself a 50-50 chance to defend the square. But this puts a lot of pressure on szigfrid, because as szigfrid now, do you just continue your normal scoring route, taking 4 points for the city, and keep exploiting your temporary meeple majority, or do you actually start getting scared about that city and try to invade it? szigfrid's not getting scared, who really wants the quick points. And Takuto now gets a dagger tile, which he now will use to cover up the city at the top. And this game could come down to this dagger tile that fits into this square. Wisemaze in the chat is saying, oh, great to know. So the script that Wisemaze made is actually can calculate the probabilities for tile distribution. So we were discussing earlier how likely it is for one opponent to draw a certain amount of city caps over the course of the game. That'll be great to find out. So Zvonimir, with this tile over here, do you want to just finish your city at the bottom and try to get yourself back to meeple equality? Or do you want to cover up the city at the top, giving yourself a 50-50 chance of completing it and not allowing szigfrid for a reinvade? Or do you want to do that later and for now use the city cap to drop it into your field with the potential to turn your 6-point farmer into a 9-point farmer?
I would probably put it on the top. But on the top, I don't know if I would already want to close that city up or make it closable with the Dorito on the top. It all depends how much behind does Ezitakuto thinks he is.
Well, Ezitakuto is kind of behind, like, after he dropped this farmer, because he's behind in meeples quite a bit. Because if you were to get that Monash meeple, he would have had a great chance of getting 9 points in a meeple back. Also, he doesn't seem to be that much behind, really. So he chooses to leave that option open. He just wants to take a meeple back. Yeah. I would have liked covering up that city, actually, because even though it's only a 50-50 chance, it's a 50-50 chance that will have to haunt szigfrid for the rest of the game. And that 50-50 really does a lot for Takuto's win probability. Also because szigfrid really doesn't have... If szigfrid were to draw a dagger, he doesn't have great uses for it anyway, other than, of course, starting a new city. So it would be something that would make things difficult for the Hungarian. But now still, the balls is in szigfrid's court. Do you use the curve to get a meeple back? Or do you start a new ring road somewhere on the left? Or do you try and restrict the top of Takuto's city, anticipating that if red draws the one dagger tile that fits here, then maybe the square at the top could be blocked?
I would take the maple back for the monastery. There seems to be a lot of city caps left, so some field could occur.
And szigfrid agrees with you, and also interesting that szigfrid does not choose to drop a farmer over here. That would have been a very, very easy invasion of the main field over here through an unblockable curve. There are still 4 of those remaining, potential chance to meeple another road upon invasion. So this means that szigfrid does not value that field one bit. His plan is to simply create a counter field somewhere else, for example by drawing his own dagger tile and dropping a farmer over here, leaving this meeple with just 6 points and trying to divert the fights for the field somewhere else. Takuto now, with a fantastic tile, the splitter can be used in such a variety of ways. We could first of all split our city on the left, trying to get a meeple back and 6 points, and then maybe later attack or block szigfrid's city on the right. We could still cover up our city at the top with the added benefit of starting a new city ourselves, or we could forget about all of that and simply draw the two, drop the divider into our own field, trying to leave 2 city caps open, potentially turning this 6-point field into a 12-point field.
I think he should cover this city up as soon as possible. szigfrid has enough meeples to invade it, and I think that might be the only chance of Ezitakuto getting back in the game, because there are no fields, and he does so.
And he does that. He doesn't start a new city, which actually I don't like. he simply leaves the city cap up for grabs. He does not get punished for it because szigfrid does not get a city cap tile, but szigfrid gets a curve, and that's going to be an interesting move here. So as szigfrid, do you want to simply start a normal loop road on the left? Do you want to maybe start a 5-point loop on the right through a straight line? With the added benefit of later being able to drop a farmer with tempo upon completion? Or do you think that you have so much advantage that you want to grab some insurance, maybe pre-meepling this 4-point road that goes through Takuto City, with the idea that if Takuto gets the dagger tile that fits over here, Takuto will not be able to get this 4-point road, and we as szigfrid are able to get that 4-point road?
I'll go for the loop on the bottom right, because there are 3 more straight lines left. And if szigfrid gets one of these, he could get the field of 2 completed cities, plus potential of 3 or 4.
Yeah, and
this move was dangerous because szigfrid now gave opportunity for Takuto to expand his fields to the bottom right part.
Yeah, I think that was a bit misplaced. So I can understand the purpose of that move. The idea, of course, is to eliminate these green squares and not allow Takuto to drop like regular vanilla city caps. But Takuto doesn't care about dropping city caps. He just simply cleans off 4 points at the top with the city cap that is available to him. But maybe the Hungarian just didn't see the idea of getting this, another curve, and another curve to make sure that this farm can expand like this. It's quite a common pattern, kind of going around a potential evil hamster hole, trying to expand the main field. And the evil hamster itself, of course, does not matter, as 2 road monasteries have gone out, so nobody will be benefiting from this square. szigfrid's taking 2 quick points for himself, renewing his scoreboard lead up to 5 points, and the city cap tile goes to Takuto, which means that this move by szigfrid pays off in the short term. Takuto is not able to go over here and expand his field, but he's able to do a bunch of other stuff. He could actually go over here and try to bring his farmer into this field over here, or he could go over here and meeple this field over here, or he could meeple a field at the top, or he could meeple no field and simply start a 4-point city somewhere away from the action. So Zvonimir, field or city for you with the city cap as the Japanese player?
I think I would try to complete the connection to the right part of the field. So it can obstruct the city on the bottom left, but I think that might be worth it.
Yeah, and actually the city on the bottom left does not matter that much because, first of all, there are not many tiles left to complete it to begin with. Well, there's the dagger, but the dagger you already need over here as red. And there's the starting tile, which there's only one of those is remaining in the deck. So, and also this meeple is blocked together with the road of green, so actually going over here might be a way to go. But Takuto chooses to start a new city on the left, well, of course creating a counter field which benefits the side with more meeples, which is szigfrid, but szigfrid finally gets one of his daggers and completes his plan. So the plan which I was criticizing earlier about was sort of spending a city cap for a partial block actually ends up working really, really well as he gets his farmer, gets some nice insurance against Takuto completing the big city. The side effect, of course, is prolonging Takuto's road, but 7 points is something that is manageable. Takuto gets 2 points for a road on the left, and szigfrid gets a splitter tile, which could be used in a variety of ways. So we could just start a new city somewhere, maybe on the left, away from the action, or we could try and drop a farmer. But where do we do it? We could drop it over here next to Red's city, trying to connect to Red's field and maybe overrun it in the future with our meeple majority. we could start a new city like this on the right, trying to get 6 points and leaving another city cap next to our field, or we could start a new farm at the top, and this is exactly what szigfrid does, hoping to get some city cap, expand the value of this farmer, or at the very least get some compensation if Takuto gets this dagger tile over here. Takuto, in the meantime, really relying on the dagger, trying to pre-build a 4-point road so that not only he completes the city, but also he gets this road points with just one click of a mouse or one movement of a hand if we were playing in person. This has the added benefits of connecting the two fields together in the future, so szigfrid will not be scoring twice for a farmer for this completed city, but szigfrid tries to prevent this by obstructing this square a little bit and, most importantly, starting a new city for potential 8 points. Takuto gets a straight line, tries to create an attacking platform against it, and szigfrid gets a curvy tile and an interesting choice. Do you place the curve over here, facing to the left, not allowing the two farmers to be unified and kind of securing that city a little bit? Or do you just ignore it and maybe place your last meeple on a 5-point road, potentially also harassing Takuto's city cap at the bottom? Or do you do something else entirely? Any interesting ideas about these curves, Wanamir?
szigfrid has a lot of points for himself, so I think the best way is to eliminate all the possibilities for Japanese player to get points, and now he actually did that by eliminating the potential monastery spot. Right as a Japanese player drew the monastery.
Right.
It would be a juicy place for that monastery.
Yeah, and this monastery would not only score lovely 6 points and then some for Takuto, this would also unify these two fields, which of course benefits red. So red now tries to use this tile as a blocking tile. szigfrid is not able to complete his city, but he's totally cool with it because he has another city cap on the left for 7 points, 3 for the field, 3 and more for the farm. This also means that Takuto's city at the bottom will not be completed. Takuto now with a splitter tile, thinking whether to finish his city at the bottom, or to split from his city at the top and try to obstruct szigfrid's city later, or maybe try to play against szigfrid's threat of finishing an 8-point city on the right. Simply
he chose wisely. He needs maples for the end game. This
-9.
is gonna be interesting.
-9 on the scoreboard. szigfrid with no meeples. Well, not a lot of meeples, rather. He can actually make a really interesting move. I mean, as szigfrid, I'm thinking of dropping my last farmer on the left, taking away this 6-point field, potentially turning into a 9-point field if our opponent continues this city, and just being okay with spending the game without meeples, but he doesn't do that. This, of course, gives a chance for Takuto to take claim of that field himself. Monastery tile.
Not with this tile.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate for the Japanese. Normally you love monasteries, but no good monastery spot. Maybe except for this 6-point field at the bottom. Kind of looks like a juicy field to grab. We might do that as the Japanese player. Or maybe we still need to do something about that square. I don't think we do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's a vanilla tile still available. But with the monastery, of course, we cannot do anything about it. We need to wait for a road tile if we want to block that square.
A lot depends now on the point count. I think both players will take their time to count the points. But Takuto still has the options to connect to the bottom right part of the field. And he chooses to take the new field that occurs.
The new field, I would say it's a good move, but szigfrid gets the final dagger, and with that, probably a spot in the CCL main stage, because he will be denying this road meeple to Ezitakuto. He will be denying this city to Ezitakuto, and to rub it in, he will be completing his own city on the right, potentially even dropping a farmer, but it will be 8 points for the city, 3 extra points for the farmer, and no city points for Ezitakuto. Yes,
I wouldn't even drop a farmer.
It's called dagger for a reason, exactly. Because when you draw it, it has this extra stabby effect. So, Zvonimir, do you drop a farmer there or not? I don't think it matters that much, but it's kind of a question of aesthetics.
Yeah, he has a few more moves to play, so he can get the top left field. There are also some ruins potential.
And also, you know what
he might even be fancy, and he can invade the bottom right field.
He could do that too. Actually, he could even do that like through a curve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One curve still available, if I'm not mistaken. Or he could use the curve in another way. He could actually go over here, score a 4-point road, and expand his field, bringing his newly completed 8-point city into his field at the top. 4 points for the Hungarian. Plus 18 on the scoreboard. Not the best tile for Takuto at all. Szigfrid gets a tile that allows him to claim a 6-point field, which means that he doesn't even need to have to invade the field, because this will be completely equalizing this farmer anyway. I can't imagine another move on the part of Szigfrid. This is exactly what happens. Takuto again doesn't get the best possible tile. Well, it doesn't really matter exactly which moves he plays. There were maybe some chances of going over here. Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. Maybe what Takuto's doing, he's setting up a attacking platform against this field, trying to sneak in a 9-point farmer in the future. Or maybe he's just simply trying to deny Szigfrid an opportunity of taking this field on the left with a straight line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One straight line still remaining, actually. So, yeah, well, that's actually a very smart move from the Japanese. So Szigfrid can now not go over here and claim yet another 6-point field. In fact, nobody can. This field can only be claimed with a curve, and certainly not with the tile that Szigfrid has. What could Szigfrid do? He could actually go over here, try to deny this field to Takuto. He could also go here or here, try to eliminate an attacking platform against his own field at the top. Or he could even go over here and try to be fancy, drop a farmer and try to invade the main field of Ezitakuto with the last remaining curve.
I would do that as well, just to be fancy. The only thing Szigfrid should worry about is not losing on time.
That's something that he should definitely be worried about, as he is... he's basically like this. Well, is he like the? I think that sounds offensive, but like, I mean, in a good way. He's like the slowest player in the world, the slowest tournament player in the world.
Martin Wojciech?
I think Szigfrid and then Martin Wojciech, but like this is the top two for sure. There was basically the statistics. When I mean the slowest player in the world, I mean the player who took the most thinking time for a world championship, for the World Team Carcassonne Online Championships game. It's actually going to be measured. But as you can see, being deliberate and taking his time, but never going over time, is paying off for the Hungarian, as he goes for your stylish move, and even though he doesn't get the curve, it pays off because Takuto is not able to score 3 points for the road and expand his own field. So this move has a lot of defensive merits as well, even though it does not get the offensive outcome that Szigfrid was hoping for. Yeah, so taking it slow really pays off. I want to look at his thinking time toward the end of the game, because this stream has gone for over 2 hours, which doesn't happen very often in a normal best-of-3 match. Takuto with a curve, probably going to meeple a 6-point field on the left. I can't really see any other options in particular.
He's maybe just looking forward to see what is the last tile, just to play it more perfectly.
That would make sense.
But 6 points is 6 points, so...
Well, I think he's thinking if he can get 9, instead of these 6 points, like if he goes over here, and if he gets the straight line, which I believe still exists, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, there's still a straight line, then he can invade over here and try to take over, well, at least equalize this 9-point field, so this is 3 point extra. But what he needs to calculate is whether the last remaining tile is a curvy tile, which I don't think it is, but we still need to check that. Because let's say if he goes over here, drops a farmer, then connects with a straight line, then szigfrid can get... Wait, what's that? No.
This was a mistake.
Yeah,
Or...
I think... he just forgot. He just forgot that there's szigfrid's farmer over there.
That's why you should always choose the green meeples. They are invisible on the fields.
Exactly. That's why they're illegal at the in-person World Championship, thankfully. Well, they're only legal on the feature table, but obviously that's the table where we want to be playing. Yeah, or I don't know. I don't think it was that. I was thinking it might be a tilt move, but I don't like the Japanese player has just too good of ethic in order to do stuff like this. So, because like sometimes when you win by lots, your opponents, typically that happens in casual game, instead of conceding, that just try to build your own features. And so I'm not sure why some people do that, but I don't think it was the case. I think maybe he was either thinking of meepling the field and forgot about this farmer, or maybe he was thinking about the idea of unifying the two farmers of green and just miscalculating that it doesn't have any point merit. It won't really matter that much towards the end, as szigfrid would have been winning this either way. Surprisingly, but not by as many points as we thought. Well, no, by quite many points.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah, 19 is quite confident enough. Okay, it would have been 2 points less. It would have been 17 points with, or even, okay, 14 points with the optimal endgame and the best tile run out if Takuto were able to invade the 9-point field himself. But that is what happens. szigfrid with some great strategic planning, again with very unorthodox move, which I didn't like at the start, but this is the move that ended up winning him the game, because it sets up his field, it killed off Takuto's road, it killed off Takuto's city, and with these small farms and the final dagger, szigfrid managed to get this done, despite having his meeple blocked early on. So some great playing from szigfrid. A bit tough luck for Takuto, but also I kind of felt that szigfrid had the long-term strategic vision for this game. Takuto got a little bit flustered when it came to the field, sort of starting a 6-pointer over here, which ended up not growing by much, and another 6-pointer over here. And despite his long-term meeple advantage, ended up not really capitalizing on it, and it was the Hungarian player with his farmers who will be winning this match and moving on to the main stage of the Carcassonne Champions League 2025, which is starting in early January and will be a menace to everybody else who is there. So, let me update the scoreboard. We will be, since this is the last CCL stream of the year, it's not the last stream of the year entirely, I'm going to talk about this later. There's a stream coming up tomorrow. I want to conclude this by just looking at who actually qualified for the tournament. So first of all, there's one more match to be played. Whilst we're doing this, since we still have like 5 or 10 minutes to talk, if you have any questions to Zvonimir Vlaj, who I will remind is Bluestat on Board Game Arena, so somebody who y'all might well know, then feel free to leave them in the chat, because the next stream together for us is in all likelihood already next year. So szigfrid qualifying, Zita Kuto eliminated, and we have only one match remaining, Sanaki versus Kraukle. It was supposed to be scheduled, but it wasn't scheduled, so we'll be figuring out what to do with that, or the organizers will be figuring out what to do with that. Rather, in all likelihood, once one of these players qualifies, it might be at such short notice that we will not be able to stream. So we conclude with that the qualification cycle, at least when it comes to the cycle on screen. So CCL 2025, let's actually have a look at the qualified players. These are not the qualified players, right? So we need, because these are all the players who were in the qualification to begin with, over 100 players, and some countries even have 5, such as Argentina and Latvia and Japan. And most countries have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So group stage. This is the main stage of the tournament, where there are 48 players, I believe. Oh, look at this, and and the update has already been made, and we're gonna have a lot of masters, but only 5 players who are rated over 507, and 2 of them coming from qualification 4. That is Rabbit Rain of Japan and yours truly of Latvia. Interesting. So there was these were the 2 finalists of the 4th qualification, where Rabbit Rain prevailed, and I had a very difficult match against the Taiwanese master with the screen name Penguin EM, where I managed to win, so I'll be playing as well. Koki Yamaguchi, the author of the website topcarcassonne.com, with all the cool puzzles that some of you may know that I made a video about last year. And some very familiar faces, some surprises from Taiwan and Vietnam as well, so the game is really developing. I'm just not gonna talk about it too much. I just want to scroll a little bit further, pointing out some new screen names, such as Lord Terrycloth, whom we witnessed yesterday, and East Tung, whom has not shown up on our stream just yet. What else? Yeah, a couple of players whom I'm not familiar with, such as Agat71LUX, with their screen names. Some new countries as well. Australia, Me Got No Skill, who managed to defeat Malaheim. And, well, Thailand, of course, I mentioned that earlier. And almost Norway, but not quite, as Hognav Norway was defeated by Crocodile Fundy. So looking at this, like Zvonimir, once you're seeing this, yeah, thank you, Self-Evident, for correcting me. I went Thailand, not Taiwan. I'm so used to Taiwan playing for several years that I keep saying Taiwan instead of Thailand all the time. But yeah, Bakshay will be the first one from Thailand, and many Taiwanese players have been already among the participants. And Yuhai Haneme is one of them. So Zvonimir, I am kind of curious, like looking at these players, do you have any favorites who would be likely to win the whole thing? Is there any particular player whom you would be rooting for? Any other thoughts you'd be willing to share?
Well, a lot of familiar faces or nicknames from the last year. Last year when you had that competition, guessing the winner of the CCL, I stuck with someone you know, and fortunately I won the game you sent me, so I'm still sticking with someone you know. He's really strong player. But you are also in top 3 for sure. it all depends on the games. So I'll be sticking still with someone you know. He brought me the game, so I'm looking forward to
Yeah, and
following
also thank
the
you.
matches.
And actually, thank you for reminding me about that. I should make one other prediction game about this come the playoffs. Yeah, I need to think about both the prize and the conditions. There might even be one for the group stage. Yeah, I should actually start doing this stuff again. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm gonna add one other player. Like Rabbit Rain is just an incredibly strong player. They're also have a very spectacular playing style. Sometimes with disregard for the meeple, they're trying to be extremely efficient with their tiles at the expense of safety, and this is very often pays off. As you can see, they're currently in great form with 842 elo points, which is more than anybody else on the platform currently, so certainly quite a menace. I assume that the way the players will be divided by groups is by elo, so actually these top 6 players will not be playing each other anytime soon. They're likely to meet only in the playoffs if they manage to get out of the group stage. It was 8 groups of 6 players, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, we will discuss the format when the league actually starts, which should be in early January. Alrighty, so then this should be enough. Oh, wait, so I assume that's the... Okay, gotcha. So the draw is a little bit different, but the chances of the top 6 rated players playing against each other are non-zero, but still very low based on the system of draws. Anyway, this all is going to happen early next year. What's going to happen now? We're going to wrap up. There is going to be a stream tomorrow, the exact time to be announced a little bit later, so if you're interested in more competitive Carcassonne content like this, make sure to subscribe and also click the bell notification icon, because otherwise you are unlikely to find out when the next streams are. Meeple the like button for the algorithm if you liked anything about this video. It helps the algorithm more than you might think. And thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.